I never imagined my life would unravel on a scorching stretch of highway in the Arizona desert. It started as what Jack promised would be a relaxing getaway, just me, him, and his brothers, Mike and Tom, hitting the road for some family bonding. I'd always felt like an outsider with those two. Their smirks and side glances made it clear they saw me as the intruder who stole their brother away. But Jack pleaded, his eyes soft like they used to be in our early days. Come on, Emily. We need this. Things have been tough lately. I relented, packing sandwiches and hoping for the best. We piled into Tom's beat-up Chevy truck at dawn, the air already thick with heat. I squeezed into the back seat, my knees bumping the console as they blasted country rock and swapped crude jokes that sailed right over my head, or worse, landed squarely on me. Emily, you sure you can handle the Wild West? Don't get lost out there, Mike snickered, elbowing Tom. I forced a smile, offering them chips from my bag. But inside, doubt gnawed at me. Why did I always bend to keep the peace? Was it love? Or just fear of being alone again? 3 hours in, we pulled off at a rundown gas station near the edge of the Navajo Nation. Nothing but red dust. A single pump, and a clerk who looked like he'd weathered 1,000 sandstorms. Gotta stretch my legs, I muttered, stepping out into the blinding sun. I headed inside for a restroom break and a cold soda, my mind replaying the morning's tensions. When I emerged, blinking against the glare, the truck was gone. Vanished, like a mirage swallowed by the heat waves. At first, my brain refused to process it. I circled the building, heart thumping, calling out, Jack, Mike. Silence, broken only by the distant hum of semis on the interstate. Then I spotted a crumpled receipt fluttering by the pump. I snatched it up, my fingers trembling. Scrawled in Jack's handwriting, "You're on your own now." The words hit like a gut punch. They'd planned this, left me stranded with nothing but the clothes on my back and a soda bottle. My purse, phone, wallet, everything was in that truck. Panic surged, hot and suffocating. I rushed back inside, blurting to the clerk, "Did you see them leave? The truck with 3 guys." He shrugged, chewing tobacco. "They peeled out laughing. Said you'd figure it out." Figure it out? In the middle of nowhere. With no money. No ID? Rage bubbled up, mixing with the betrayal that clawed my chest. How could Jack do this? The man I'd vowed to love through thick and thin? But deeper. A voice whispered, "You knew. You always knew his brothers pulled the strings, turning him against you." I stood there in the parking lot, the sun beating down like judgment, my mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. What if I hitchhiked back and begged? What if this was the end? But no, I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. They'd expected tears, hysteria, me chasing after them like a lost puppy. Instead, something hardened inside me. I turned toward the horizon, the vast desert stretching endlessly, and started walking. Each step was a declaration. I was done being their punchline. The heat was merciless, sweat soaking my shirt as I trudged along the shoulder. Cars zoomed by, kicking up dust that stung my eyes. My thoughts raced, memories of our wedding in a Vegas chapel, Jack's promises under neon lights, the slow erosion when he lost his construction job, drowning in beer with Mike and Tom, their pranks that left me humiliated, like hiding my keys during a barbecue or mocking my waitressing gig. "Lighten up, Jack would say, his laugh hollow. Why had I stayed? Fear of starting over. I realized, my inner voice accusing, "You let them dim your light." After what felt like eternity, maybe 2 hours, a rusty Ford pickup slowed beside me. The driver, an older Navajo woman with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes, leaned out. Need a lift? You look like the desert's chewing you up. I hesitated, weighing the risks, but exhaustion won. Yeah, thanks.
I'm Emily.
She nodded.
I've Rosa.
Hop in. I'm headed to a little town up ahead. As we drove, the AC blasting cool relief. Rosa didn't pry at first. But when I let slip a vague family trouble, she shared her own story, leaving an abusive ex decades ago, rebuilding in Flagstaff. Sometimes the road chooses you, she said. Her words sank in, stirring a fragile hope. We pulled into a sleepy town, Sedona's outskirts, with its red rocks glowing under the setting sun. Rosa dropped me at a budget motel, slipping me $50. Pay it forward, child. I hugged her, tears finally breaking free, not from despair, but gratitude. That night, in a musty room with a flickering TV, I stared at the ceiling, my mind a storm of emotions. Betrayal burned, but beneath it, a spark of freedom flickered. Who was I without Jack Shadow? The question kept me awake. But by dawn, I knew I had to build something new. The motel became my temporary fortress, its thin walls echoing my restless thoughts. I woke early, muscles aching from the walk, but determination pushed me out the door. The town was quintessentially Western, a main street lined with adobe shops, a diner called Red Rock Cafe, and locals in cowboy hats sipping coffee on benches. I needed work. Fast. No phone meant no calling home. Besides, who would believe this nightmare? I approached the motel clerk, a grizzled man named Hank. Any jobs around here? He eyed me suspiciously, but pointed to the diner. Try Clara, she's always shorthanded. My heart raced as I walked over, rehearsing my pitch. Inside, the place buzzed with breakfast chatter, smells of pancakes and bacon wrapping around me like a hug. Clara, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s with a tattooed arm and sharp gaze, was behind the counter.
I'm Emily.
Hank said you might need help. She sized me up. Ever waited tables? I can learn quick. She tossed me an apron. Start bussing. We'll see if you last the rush. That first shift was a blur: spilled coffee, grumpy truckers, endless refills. My feet screamed, but I pushed through, my mind whispering, this is survival. Don't break now. By closing, Clara nodded approvingly. You're hired.
Minimum wage plus tips.
Don't steal the pie. Days blurred into routine. I introduced myself as M, shedding the old Emily like snakeskin. Waiting tables taught me resilience, handling complaints with a smile, memorizing orders, pocketing quarters that added up. But nights were harder. Alone in my room, doubts flooded. What if Jack reported me missing? Would the cops drag me back? Legally, I wasn't kidnapped. I'd walked away. But emotionally, it felt like theft of my dignity. I journaled furiously, pouring out the pain, Jack's growing coldness after his layoff, how Mike and Tom fueled his resentment, turning our home into a boys' club where I was the outsider. One evening, after a grueling double shift, Clara caught me staring into space. Spill it,
Kid.
you've got that haunted look. I hesitated, then let it out, the abandonment, the note, the walk. She listened, lighting a cigarette. Bastards. But you're here now. Build your own damn life. Her words ignited something. I started saving every tip, eating diner scraps, learning the town's rhythms. The regulars became my anchors. Old Man Ruiz, a retired miner sharing stories of gold rushes, Young Sarah, a single mom studying online, reminding me of my own unfulfilled dreams. Inner conflict raged. Part of me yearned for revenge, imagining Jack's face if I sued for emotional distress. But Arizona law favored no-fault divorces, and I had no proof beyond that note.
No.
Revenge wasn't me. Instead, I focused inward. Why had I tolerated the mockery, the salt in my coffee, the locked doors during gatherings? You're too sensitive, Jack would say. But now I saw it as gaslighting. My monologues to the mirror grew fiercer. You deserve better. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. Months passed. I moved from the motel to a tiny studio above a bookstore, painting it sage green to match the desert sages. Clara promoted me to shift lead, teaching me inventory and recipes. I volunteered at a women's shelter, helping others escape toxic homes. One woman, Maria, shared her escape from a controlling husband. Our talks healed me. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you, she said.
I pondered that.
My heart softening slightly. Jack wasn't evil, just weak, influenced by his brother's toxicity. But that didn't excuse him. One night, a dream haunted me, Jack laughing as the truck sped away, dust clouding my vision. I woke sweating, questioning, am I running forever? No, I was thriving. The desert's vastness mirrored my growing strength, its harsh beauty taught endurance. Yet, whispers of loneliness crept in. Did I miss companionship? Not Jack's version, but real connection.
For now,
work filled the void, each shift a step toward independence. As winter approached, the town dusted with rare snow. I felt rooted. No longer the abandoned wife. I was M, the reliable one, the listener, the survivor. But deep down, I knew the past might catch up. What if Jack searched? The thought stirred anxiety, but also resolve. I'd face it on my terms. For years dissolved like mirages in the desert heat. I'd transformed from a shattered woman into someone unbreakable. The diner wasn't just a job, it was my kingdom. Clara and I became partners, renaming it Desert Dawn Diner, my name etched on the sign. A badge of rebirth. Morning started with brewing coffee, the aroma grounding me as locals trickled in. I knew their lives intimately. Ruiz's arthritis flares, Sarah's promotion to nurse. They called me family, their stories weaving into mine, easing the isolation that once choked me. Volunteering deepened my purpose. At the shelter, I led workshops on financial independence, drawing from my escape. Start small, I'd tell the women, my voice steady despite the memories it stirred. 1. A young mom named Lena reminded me of myself, eyes shadowed by doubt. How do you trust again? She asked. I paused.
Inertermoilserfisen. Do-i.
Jack's betrayal had scarred me, making vulnerability terrifying. But I answered honestly, by trusting herself first. Her hug afterward felt like closure for my own wounds. My apartment evolved too, a cozy haven with Navajo rugs and potted succulents thriving in the sunlight. I read voraciously, books on psychology unpacking my past, the cycle of emotional abuse, how enablers like Mike and Tom perpetuated it. Why hadn't I left sooner? Shame? I realized societal pressure to make it work in our conservative Western towns. But now, freedom tasted sweet, untainted by regret. Nights, I'd sit on the balcony, stars blanketing the sky, monologuing to the void, you've come so far. Don't look back. Yet, the past lingered like a distant storm. I'd heard whispers through old acquaintances. Jack had spiraled. Lost his job amid rumors of the prank, isolated as friends distance themselves. Mike and Tom faced backlash too, their immaturity exposed. Legally, I could have pursued abandonment charges, but Arizona's community property laws made divorce straightforward via mail. I filed quietly,
No contest.
severing ties without fanfare. Revenge?
No release.
One crisp Tuesday. The diner hummed softly post-lunch. Clara was out back. I polished the counter, mind wandering to a potential garden project. The bell jingled. I looked up and froze. There stood Jack, gaunt and weary, eyes scanning the room until they locked on me. Time warped. He looked older, lines etched deep, posture defeated. My heart hammered, a torrent of emotions crashing. Anger,
Pity.
indifference. He approached hesitantly, voice barely audible. Emily. I didn't flinch, gripping the counter. It's Em now. He nodded, pulling out his phone, dozens of unanswered calls glowing. I've been looking everywhere. Clara emerged, sensing tension, but I waved her off. We were alone amid the empty booths. Why are you here? I asked, voice level despite the chaos inside. He sat,
Defeated.
to apologize.
That day.
It was stupid. Mike and Tom egged me on, but I let them. I thought you'd come back. Like always. Always, the word stung, echoing my complacency. You humiliated me.
Jack.
Left me for dead in the desert. Tears welled in his eyes. I know. I've lost everything, job, friends,
Sleep.
regret eats at me daily. My mind raced. Part of me wanted to scream, unleash years of pain. But another voice urged calm. Growth meant rising above. What do you want? Forgiveness. He shrugged. A chance to explain. I was lost after the layoff. Leaned on my brother's toxicity. But abandoning you, that broke me too. His vulnerability pierced me. He wasn't the villain I'd painted. Just flawed. Human. I poured him coffee, sliding it over.
Drink.
Then listen. As he sipped, I spoke from the heart. I rebuilt without you. Found strength in strangers. Purpose in this town. You didn't destroy me, you freed me. He listened, head bowed.
Inside.
Conflict brewed. Could I forgive? Not fully, but enough to release the bitterness. Go home.
Jack.
Heal yourself. That's the real apology. He finished, leaving a tip. At the door, he turned. I'm glad you're thriving. I am, I replied. And you can too if you change. He nodded, stepping into the sunlight, a ghost fading. Clara reappeared. You good? Better, I said, a weight lifting. That encounter wasn't revenge. It was mercy for both of us. In the aftermath, peace settled like desert rain, rare but nourishing. Jack's visit stirred old sediments, but instead of drowning me, it clarified the waters. That night, I walked home under a canopy of stars, the cool air whispering affirmations. Why had I let him in? Not weakness, but strength to confront the past without crumbling. My inner dialogue evolved. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's choosing not to carry the poison. Life accelerated. The diner boomed. We added outdoor seating with string lights, drawing tourists from Sedona's vortex trails. Clara and I brainstormed expansions, a bakery corner for my homemade churros. The shelter work intensified. I mentored Lena through her divorce, her triumphs mirroring mine. You're my hero, she said once. Hero? No, just proof that rock bottom births resilience. Romantically, I dipped a toe in coffee dates with a kind mechanic named Alex, his gentle demeanor a stark contrast to Jack's volatility.
No rush, y sabura't solituda.
My heart mending stitch by stitch. Memories of Jack faded, replaced by gratitude for the lessons. Recognize red flags. Value self-worth. Surround yourself with uplifters. Word spread subtly about my story, anonymous tips to local papers framing it as empowerment, not scandal. It inspired others. Women approached me at the diner, sharing their escapes. How did you start over? They'd ask. One step, I'd reply, my voice laced with empathy.
Inside.
Pride swelled. I'd turned pain into purpose. Jack, from afar, seemed to heed my words. Mutual contacts whispered he'd cut ties with Mike and Tom, sought therapy in Phoenix, landed a steady warehouse gig. No contact from him, a respectful silence. It humanized him. We'd both been trapped in dysfunction. But I'd broken free first. The article lesson crystallized. Growth demands accountability. From all sides. As seasons cycled, the monsoon rains greening the desert, followed by fiery sunsets, I reflected deeply. What if I'd stayed? A life of erosion. Spirit dimmed. Instead, abandonment birthed rebirth. My monologues turned philosophical. Life's cruelties are crucibles, emerge forged, not fractured. One evening, Alex and I hiked a trail, red rocks towering. You're incredible, he said. I smiled, no longer doubting. The desert had taught me endurance, its beauty, hope. Back home, I lit a candle, toasting silently to new beginnings. Years later, the story feels like a distant legend, but its echoes shape me. The diner thrives as a community hub. Clara retired, leaving it in my hands. I expanded to host support groups, turning tables into safe spaces for sharing. Lena now co-manages, her journey full circle. Alex and I built a life, simple, supportive, rooted in mutual respect. No drama, just quiet love under western skies. Reflecting on Jack, compassion prevails. He remarried, started a family. Whispers say he's changed, volunteering at a men's group on healthy relationships. Our paths diverged, but the encounter taught redemption is possible when we own our shadows. The lesson? Betrayal can shatter, but from shards, we craft mosaics of strength. Choose growth over grudge. It's the ultimate revenge. In the end, that desert abandonment wasn't an end. It was my beginning. I rose, not in vengeance, but in humanity, proving we're more than our wounds.
And in that,
I found true freedom.